Ownership refers to the legal right to possess, use, and dispose of property or goods. In English commercial law, ownership is a fundamental concept governed by statutes like the Sale of Goods Act 1979, or SGA. Key aspects of ownership. Passing of property ownership or property and goods passes from the seller to the buyer based on the intention of the parties, typically governed by Section 17 of the SGA. Rules for determining intention, as per Section 18 of the SGA Rule 1. For specific goods, ownership passes when the contract is made unless otherwise agreed. Rule 5. For unascertained or future goods, ownership passes when goods are ascertained or appropriated to the contract. Risk and ownership. Risk typically passes with ownership unless otherwise agreed, as stated in Section 20 of the Sale of Goods Act. This means the party who owns the goods bears the risk of loss or damage. Retention of title clauses. Sellers may include clauses retaining ownership until payment is made in full, often referred to as Romalpa clauses. These clauses are enforceable if clearly stated and agreed upon. Buyers' remedies for ownership issues. If ownership does not pass as agreed, buyers may claim remedies for non-delivery or seek specific performance. Statutory implied terms or obligations automatically included in contracts by law to protect parties, particularly in sales contracts under the Sale of Goods Act 1979 and the Consumer Rights Act 2015. Key implied terms under the Sale of Goods Act 1979. Title and quiet possession, Section 12. The seller must have the right to sell the goods, meaning ownership or authority, and the buyer must enjoy quiet possession without interference. Satisfactory quality, as outlined in Section 14, subsection 2, means that goods must meet the standard a reasonable person would consider satisfactory, taking into account price, description, and other factors. This includes aspects like durability, safety, and the absence of minor defects. Fitness for purpose under Section 14, subsection 3 requires that if the buyer makes known a specific purpose, the goods must be fit for that purpose. This rule applies when the seller has knowledge of the buyer's intended use and the buyer relies on the seller's skill and judgment. Description, as per Section 13, mandates that goods must correspond to their description. This is particularly relevant in contracts where goods are sold by description, such as online sales or catalogue purchases. So, under Section 15, the goods supplied must match the quality and characteristics of the sample provided. This means, that whatever sample was shown to the buyer, the actual goods delivered should be pretty much identical in terms of quality and features. Reasonable care and skill implied by common law, particularly in contracts for services. Providers must exercise reasonable care and skill. Application in commercial law. Ownership is central to disputes where delivery, payment, or title transfer is contested. It affects liability for damages and risk allocation in contracts. Ownership in commercial law is central to disputes where delivery, payment, or title transfer is contested. It affects liability for damages and risk allocation in contracts. Statutory implied terms ensure consumer and business protection by holding sellers accountable for goods that fail to meet statutory standards. Remedies include rejection, repair, replacement, or damages.